This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Starting in April, the government, the big banks, will be tracking all purchases made at gun stores, which means if you buy ammo or you buy multiple guns, you're going to be flagged for suspicious activity. Of course, this is how the government is going to begin taking guns away from citizens. And of course, we have half of our country that is begging the government to do it because they believe in every false flag psyop that is created completely by the CIA and our government to make these people want gun regulation. They don't realize that none of these events are real or ever actually occur. Then they put these events in schools, in malls, in grocery stores, all places that you can relate to so that you're fearful to go to these places. They want to be able to trigger you into thinking, well, if I go to a concert, like say in Las Vegas, it could happen to me. If I go to a club in Orlando, it could happen to me. My kids who are at school, it could happen. I could run to the grocery store today to get some cream cheese, and it could happen to me. So by doing this, they psychologically warp the perspective and the minds of the people, and that's what they're doing right now. Our government comes out and tells us, specifically Joe Biden, that if we're going to fight against the government, we're going to need bomber jets. We're going to need, you know what I mean? They literally have come out and talked about how the people will never be able to fight against the government. Now, the whole purpose of people wanting to be armed is because nobody trusts the government, okay? There's nothing to do with these fake school shootings that occur. The majority of people want to be armed because they do not trust the government. What we've seen in other countries is that once you destabilize and de-arm the people in that society, then they get away with more murder, okay? Literally, right? During the quarantine and all that stuff, we literally saw them lock people down. People were getting arrested for going to Kentucky Fried Chicken after 8 o'clock at night in different towns. They were trying to sneak out of their town so they can go get something to eat, and they got arrested. There was so many stories that I've covered. And again, these happen in countries that are unarmed. The people in these countries were dumb enough to give up their arms. In our country, we have a government that is trying to psychologically make half the country demand that people give up their weapons. But the reality of the matter is that once you submit, once you give up, then you have a government that's even more out of control. And I'd say this to the liberals who listen to this channel, because I am not a Republican and I am not a liberal. I'm neither, because both sides are rigged. And this is part of the seesaw mind control that's going on right now. They are trying to trap people. I talk about this on my other channel. In red states and blue states. The red states are going to get drilled just like Turkey's been getting drilled, just like you'll see hurricanes going through, you'll see chemical trains going through. There'll be all sorts of weapons that they'll use on the people in red states. But of course, they'll blame it on the boogeyman, as they always do. The people, of course, in the blue states will be completely enslaved with the carbon footprint. If you don't understand what some of the stuff I'm talking about, please make sure you subscribe to my other channel, because you're missing out and you're going to be unprepared for what's coming. And it's coming fast, okay? And it all ties around the climate agenda, which has zero to do with the climate and everything to do with control. So let's take a look at what they're talking about doing here with gun purchases. And again, this will be anybody who's considered a conservative, which they will lump me into and you into, even if you're a Republican or not. If they see that you bought multiple weapons or you bought X amount of ammo, say you bought 1,000 bullets in a month, they will be coming to your door. And even listen to these scumbags on MSNBC who are openly thrilled about this. And they're like, the guy's so casual about it. He's like, it might be harder for you to get a gun or get bullets. And he's like, and you might have to get on the phone with the police. What? That's how unbelievable this is getting. Take a listen.
And some big news over the weekend. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express will now officially begin tracking gun shops with a new merchant code. It's a victory for gun control advocates who've been pressing the financial sector to do more to help curb gun violence. Previously, gun shops were mostly categorized as specialty retailers. It was really a generic term that meant that you could be selling tents or sneakers, and the credit card companies and the banks didn't know. The card companies say they will work to support lawful purchases and protect consumer privacy. In the next hour, we're going to talk to Amalgamated Bank CEO Priscilla Sims Brown, who took this idea, which I started talking about it back in 2008 on this show, or 2018, I should say, on this show, right after the Parkland shootings, and actually went through a remarkable process that we're going to talk about, where she ended up applying on behalf of the bank to get this code created. There was huge pushback by the credit card companies. In fact, the original application was rejected. And they went back at it again.
Weren't you? I thought you didn't want credit cards to be able to be used to buy them at all. Was your
No.
You never. That was never
the
your
idea. No, the idea back in 2018 was very direct, which was that we have an opportunity potentially, in the same way that we track domestic terrorism post 9/11 and the laws that we put in place, that you could use those effective same laws to try to identify suspicious behavior and buying patterns in advance. And that the credit card companies and the banks were one of the few outlets that had the opportunity to be part of that and to do that in the same way that they have done for the last 20 years post 9/11. And that in most mass shootings, and this is the statistic that matters, 77% of the most deadly mass shootings in America were bought legally and, importantly, with credit cards. And in most cases, the shooter who bought all of those materials could not have purchased them, could not have afforded to purchase them with cash.
Right.
They didn't have the cash.
You never wanted to make it illegal to buy guns with credit cards.
There may be,
because I remember we used to talk about this.
There may be credit card companies or certain banks or other financial services providers who say to themselves, you know what? This is not the business we want to be in.
Exactly.
And now, by the way, if they want to do that, given now that there'll be a coding system, they can make that choice. And so I'm sure there'll be debates about that. But the larger opportunity here for everybody who has children, who cares about teachers and Americans here, and yes, there may be 100 or 1,000 people annually who will be lawful citizens who will be inconvenienced by an extra phone call that they will have to take either from a credit card company or the police. But I would argue
just
to you,
verify that it's them.
And I would argue to you that inconvenience, if it saves a life or it saves 50, is one of the most worthy trades that this country will ever undertake.
So Discover Card in April is preparing to report you and all your gun-related purchases. Now, obviously, the workaround here is, one, you don't use Discover Card. And let's be real, does anybody actually have a Discover Card of all the credit card companies? But let's just say hypothetically, because we know Visa and we know MasterCard, we know American Express, they're all going to do it because they're all working with one another. They also want to ban cash purchases of just about everything. Why? Because they can't track everything you do unless you pay electronically, which is why they're trying to have a cashless society. They want to be able to monitor what you buy and what you sell and everything else in between. Okay, that has to do with the carbon footprint that you hear about with the climate. It's amazing to me that people haven't become suspicious and said, I don't understand, like, they're talking about carbon emissions and stuff, like, if I purchase something online, like, how does that affect carbon? And then they're like, oh, well, if the factory that it was made in produces carbon monoxide, then, you're responsible because you bought it. So, in other words, they want you to buy less. And then they want to be able to, limit what you get and control what you get. And it's all in the name of climate change, but it's really all in the name of control. So this says, what's in your wallet? If it's a Discover credit card, be advised that it will soon be used to monitor your gun-related purchases and potentially report them to the government. Earlier this month, Discover was the first major credit card issuer to announce that it will implement a new merchant category code, MCC, created to track purchases at gun stores with the express purpose of monitoring and reporting to authorities any activity the company considers suspicious. So apparently, these people now, without being elected, are going to be in charge of what you do that's suspicious. Meanwhile, every single thing that the government is doing is suspicious. Every single thing. And that's why I don't get when liberals come to my channel and they troll and stuff. Like when Trump was in office, they were going nuts. And now it's the opposite. Right now, Republicans are going nuts. That's the seesaw I talk about. But does anybody on any side of the aisle trust these people? I mean, how can anyone trust? But that's what's scary about it, because in some of the videos I covered before my channel was taken down on communism, I was showing that this is really just communism. That's why all of these celebrities, Hollywood is fully infiltrated with CIA operatives who are all communists, and they're pushing the communist agenda. This goes back to the blacklists in the 50s when celebrities were getting caught for pushing communism. Now they're pushing communism, but they cloak it in love and tolerance and acceptance. And really, these idiots that are like, oh, yeah, I don't know how anyone could be conservative. These people, we're all loving and we care. They don't realize that they're giving up all of their rights to the government and that they're secretly worshiping the government without even realizing it, putting the government over God. And these are those same weak people that worship celebrities, right? You notice this, right? This trend with liberal people. They worship celebrities. They drool over them. They want a paparazzi magazine so they can know where Brad Pitt last farted out in public so they can go there and smell it. I mean, these people are completely brain warped, but they're the same ones who worship Joe Biden and this insane administration that's in power now, which of course is all actors. These people are plants and actors. They're trying to make it look like the government in our country is falling because of liberals, but in reality, both sides are demolishing this country on purpose, and Joe Biden's playing the role, which we've seen in movies like Hot Shots, we've seen in movies like Scary Movie with Leslie Nielsen playing the president, okay? He's playing a character. I've done montages on it before. It's the same exact character, just like Kamala Harris is playing the same character that was played by Louis Dreyfus, whatever her name is, from Seinfeld, Elaine from Seinfeld on that show. They're all playing a script, and they're making themselves look as tone deaf and as incompetent as possible so that everybody in this country believes when this country crumbles that it was because of incompetence, not because of sabotage. And what's really occurring here is deliberate sabotage by both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, to bring about this one world government, new world order, okay? So they say, we have been reporting, this article says, on development of the new MCC for some time now, including here with a link. Discover, however, was the first credit card company to publicly announce a time frame for its implementation. Noticeably absent from Discover's statement was any explanation of how the company will determine which purchases are sufficiently suspicious to warrant reporting or what information, if any, customers will be provided when they have triggered an alert. Now, this will probably have something to do, and we know red flag laws, they'll be in place for people like me and you. That means, like, if they think that you're in a conspiracy, so in other words, whatever you're looking up online, these are all things that they'll monitor and they'll tie into this. And then suddenly you become Al-Qaeda in America, even though you're just, having a difference of opinion with a tyrannical government. On top of that, people who register as Republicans, which is part of the trap of registering and voting and stuff, is so that they can monitor who you're following and who you vote for. Because they know that people who are voting for Republicans are nationalists and anti-communism. So they'll target those people who willingly gave their information up and voted, hoping that the voting system was in place to help us elect people when those people are selected and put in those positions, and they just want to monitor who you're voting for so they can keep tabs on you. So other credit card companies are going to fall in line with this. And the question is, who gave these people power? Just like who gave Bill Gates power? Who gave the WHO power and the CDC? Oh, right. Our supposed elected officials have given over power to these organizations and really to these corporations, right? And this should be something that none of us stand for. The fact that we can have a credit card company whose sole purpose is to give you a credit line and then you pay them interest on it so they make money that way. Now dictating what you can and can't buy, reporting you, like right out of 1984, right? Being your tattletale, just like most liberals are, if you've noticed. They're tattletales. They're the people who use the system on YouTube to flag content. They're tattletales, conformed, weakened human beings who can't take criticism and who, are completely inverted in reality. Everything that they think is right and okay is really just perverse and sick. But we've seen what the world has turned into over the last couple of years, and obviously liberals are responsible for it. If you want to call them that, it's a different species of human, really, is what it is, because these aren't what liberals used to be like. Standing for affirmative action is a lot different than the nonsense we see now, where they literally want, 3-year-olds to pick their genders. I mean, it's insane stuff. So, again, I want to remind everyone out there to sub to my other channels where I'll talk more about all of this stuff, but keep you prepared for what's coming. A lot of the stuff that I've been talking about is coming to fruition. The smart cities are next. Even have Trump talk about the smart cities. A video on that's going up on the other channel. And again, a reminder, at the very least, if you like the content, you're like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. Where have you been? Go to the website, click on free videos, and submit your email there, and you'll get email notifications. You could always unsubscribe to those if you decide that you don't want to watch my content anymore. But at least that way, if you want the content, you can get it. And YouTube obviously suppresses you from getting that information. People barely get notifications anymore from any of the channels that I've ever had or have right now. So hope to see more people sign up for the website. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of this. Literally, if you have a different political view than the sick, satanic, psychotic political view of the people who are representing us, then you are pretty much looked at as Osama bin Laden. I mean, that's how insane this is getting and continues to get. And the fact that people buy into all these news stories, they are so poorly produced. All these events that happen at schools and at groceries, they are so poorly produced. The acting is horrible. The interviewed people are horrible. The whole thing is just, it's laughable. It's like I would say an F-level movie, but it's like a Z-level movie. It's so bad. And these people just fall for everything. They have absolutely zero discernment in this world. They are walking around like the Bible says, with blindfolds on. But I think they're working on more than blindfolds on. It's as if somebody cemented a cinder block to their head. I mean, it's really bad. God bless all of you and your families.